Hi, I'm Patty Blue Hayes, author, coach, and your guide to blossoming beyond heartbreak and cultivating hope as you sow the seeds of healing. Have you ever been in an unhealthy relationship and not even been aware of how bad it was until you got out? There's a fable about boiling a frog. If you put a frog directly in boiling water, it will jump out immediately. But if you put the frog in lukewarm water and slowly turn up the heat, it won't perceive the danger and will boil to death. When I look back on the unhealthy dynamics in a past relationship, I'm shocked that I put up with behavior that I wouldn't tolerate today. So how does that happen? How do we become like the frog that doesn't sense the boiling water? Why do we choose to believe lies that are being told to us, accept behavior that goes against our values, and are unable to look objectively at the facts? How do we become so disconnected from the reality of an unhealthy relationship? From a psychological perspective, how we perceive the quality of our relationship and the objective reality of the relationship can be diametrically opposed. Being human is complex enough. Add in the component of our relationships with others, and there's a lot to analyze. The old question, is it me or is it you, often becomes blurry. I'll talk about a few psychological factors that can cause us to have problems in seeing the reality about the state of a relationship. We all have what's known as cognitive biases. These are patterns that our brains adopt based on our past experiences, perceptions, our values, and emotions. This is what creates brand loyalty, shapes the beliefs we have about people from other cultures, and how we perceive people of authority. There are different types of cognitive biases, but we'll focus on the optimistic bias and how that plays a role in our inability to see toxic behavior clearly. Being an optimist is great, but when your partner's behavior changes, you're more likely to hold on to the hope that they just had a bad day or week. You may find it easier to believe their lies, that it's you who have changed and they're finding it hard to deal with. Because the optimist will likely have a tenacious desire to make the relationship better, they will often focus on what they should change about themselves rather than focusing on their partner's bad behavior. If you're an optimist and a people pleaser, it's even more likely that you'll be taking on the responsibility to make your partner happy rather than focusing on your own needs and level of satisfaction in the relationship. In my own experience, I became increasingly insecure as I tried to do or not do all of the things my partner said were the cause of his behavior. This cycle was exhausting and confusing. My optimism outweighed my ability to be objective. You might have had a particularly nice day or outing together after days of conflict and blame. Those few hours are enough to give the optimist the energy required to keep giving the other person the benefit of the doubt and cling to the hope that things will return to normal. There was a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that found being too optimistic in relationships can lead to poor coping skills when going through relationship challenges. Another contributing component to what may cause us to stay in toxic relationships is our attachment style. You can read about how attachment theory was developed by psychologists and even take a self-assessment quiz online. The basic premise is that how we experienced getting our emotional and physical needs met from our caregivers when we were young can shape our attachment style. Please help me continue to create these videos by subscribing to my channel if you find this content valuable. There are 4 different attachment styles, but the one that may cause you to be insecure in your relationship and put your partner on a pedestal is the anxious or preoccupied attachment style. What this looks like in adults is the tendency to have low self-esteem, seek approval from other people, have a fear of rejection or abandonment, may feel jealous and have social anxiety. They can be overly needy, have weak boundaries, poor conflict management skills, and generally fear being alone. How I experienced this style of attachment was that I felt I needed my partner's love and approval in order for me to feel valuable as a human being. This was a very dangerous scenario because I'd placed too much of my feelings of worth and value with him and his opinion of me. It took years for me to unwind the tangled mess my mind had become and build up my own feelings of worth and value based on my own thoughts and feelings about myself. So, is the relationship peaceful and healthy, or chaotic and painful? One thing that helped me was to look at the facts. This means writing down specific actions from your partner and not taking responsibility for them. You are not causing them to yell at you. You are not causing them to stay out till 3 a.m. You are not causing them to threaten you. You are not causing them to avoid spending time with you. You are not causing them to lie. You are not causing them to use drugs, miss work, become volatile, or have an affair. We are all responsible for our own actions. Start detaching your sense of over-responsibility. You may also want to research the connection between codependence and returning to the source of your pain. When we make someone else our whole world, we can't imagine life without them. We've created our whole identity based on what should only be our role as their partner. You can see how these components of codependence, optimism bias, and anxious attachment style can contribute to the reasons why we can't seem to be objective in our relationships. If you can relate to these concepts, I encourage you to explore further by reading, watching, or listening to information that can help you better understand these influences. Please keep in mind that healing from these unhealthy dynamics is not something that happens quickly. Remember, you're on a journey of healing and self-discovery. The seed does not become a blossom overnight.